Well, it's 2:30. We'll open the Wednesday, February 11th meeting of the Montachusett Joint Transportation Committee. So we'll have our introductions. I'm Bob Swartz, I'm the chair. And Brian Doherty is the Transportation Division Chief. He's present.
Transportation Project Director at Montachusett Regional Planning Commission. Bob, would you like me to look at everyone around the room and
Yeah,
read off names and because I think it's different for everyone who's looking at it. So the next one on my screen is Miranda Jennings.
okay.
Hi, I'm Miranda. I'm new to this space. I see Sherry. I think you're the one I know. I am the director of the Winston Senior Center and the Winston Community Action Committee, and we've launched a microtransit initiative called the Community Connector. And so I saw this and thought it would be very interesting to participate. Thank you for having me.
Great, thank you. Sherry Bean.
Sorry, I wasn't prepared. Sherry Bean, MRPC.
Grace Belmont. Grace, it looks like your mute is off, but we can't hear you. So Grace is also with Transportation Department at MRPC. Travis Condon.
Travis Condon, Vice Chair, Director of Public Affairs for the Chamber, currently backing into my parking space.
Thanks, Travis. Tyler Godin.
Hi, Tyler Godin. I'm also a planner in the Transportation Department at MRPC.
George Snow.
MRPC Transportation Staff.
Chelsea Patrice.
Hi, I'm Chelsea Patrice. I'm the Executive Director of the Health Equity Partnership for North Central Mass.
Sarah Bradbury.
Hi, I'm Sarah Bradbury. I'm the Transportation Planner at MassDOT District 3.
Michael Yaboa.
Hi, I'm Michael Yaboa. I'm a transit planner at SMART, Montachusett Regional Transit Authority.
Daryl Emerald.
I am Daryl Emerald, Mass DOT Transportation Planner in District 2.
And Nicholas Erickson.
Hi, Nick Erickson, Fitchburg DPW.
All right, thanks everyone. Bob, we can't hear you. And I can see your mute is off. So, and we were just talking. So
I had to switch off on my own. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Next on the agenda is approval of the January 14th, 2025 minutes. Can I have a motion and a second, please?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Okay. Second? And I'll make the second. Is there any discussion, any changes? I don't sense any. And we'll do it a little different. Are there any opposes? Any opposing? I hear no opposes. So the minutes of the January 14th meeting are approved and accepted. Thank you. Next thing is the 2027-2031 Transportation Improvement Program, the TIP program. Are you going to handle that, Brian?
Yep, I'll take this. Continuing on with our federal fiscal year 27 through 31 development. And I can hear it on there. Sure. If you just give me a minute, I'm gonna turn my headphone off. Can everyone hear me now?
It was still.
I can hear you.
Okay, great. Yeah. I still hear the echo. I don't know if everyone could just
not, if you're not speaking, that might help. Bob, you might want to mute.
I shut my mic off.
Can everyone else hear the echo, or is it just me? Looks like it's gone now. Okay. All right. So, the tip development for 27 through 31 last month. We're still at the beginning stages. I went over what we have for projects in place right now. I mentioned at that time that we're working towards updating all these projects. Design statuses and costs. We were anticipating a lot of changes. In the last several weeks, we've seen a number of significant cost changes, increases in design status, changes. And I'll go over that. But first off, what I'd like to do is what I typically do in February during tip development is go over how we evaluate these projects in-house. So, the tip includes transit and highway projects. The majority of our discussions are in one particular section of highway projects where the MPO has discretion over placement. So, for the sake of this discussion, those projects are what we're talking about. When we reviewed the projects in place last month, and in the handouts today, you might recognize each project is scored. So this is kind of how we do this through our transportation evaluation criteria. We try to determine what changes we can see by constructing these projects and what the effects will be, and award them a score based on that. Theoretically, the higher the score, the higher priority project it would be. Those of you who have been through this process multiple times before, you know that there's a lot more weight on just design status and cost. So those are the two items we typically discuss. But theoretically, if you had two projects that were in the same stage of design, they were initiated at the same time, and roughly the same cost, we would fall back on our evaluation criteria to prioritize those projects. So what we look at is a number of different categories. We try to determine what effect building the project would have on the overall condition of the project. Condition of the pavement. Is it bad now? The utilities bad? Is the drainage bad now? Would the project mitigate some of those issues? We award it points based on those. We look at how heavily used the facility is based on average daily traffic. We award it points based on that. Does the project incorporate what's called complete streets concepts? So either new or improved bike or ped facilities, whether that be sidewalks or bike lanes or what have you. We look at mobility. If the roadway is known to have congestion, would the project mitigate some of that congestion? We award it points based on that. Reduction in travel time. Would it have an effect, positive or negative, on transit service? Would it reduce single occupant vehicles? As for safety, the things that we look at are what we can expect for a reduction in crashes, whether that location is located on one of our own lists that we maintain in-house of top intersections and corridors in terms of crashes in the region. The state has a similar list, top 200 intersection locations in terms of crashes statewide. Whether the project would have an effect on crash rate or crash severity. We awarded points on that. And, bike and pedestrian safety, a lot of these projects, do have some component of an improvement in bike and pedestrian facilities. So we account for that, and we grade it accordingly. Community effects and support. What effects would it have on housing stock, traffic flow, noise, that type of thing? Any effects, positive or negative, to a neighborhood? The effects on certain populations. Whether or not it's supported by the local governments. Typically, every project is, but in case that it isn't, it's reflected here. Whether that community is an active participant in the regional planning process, Whether they're giving us updates, whether they're participating in some of these regional meetings, that's all relevant. Land use and economic development we look at, whether it's in conformance with local concepts and plans is important. We want to be cognizant of that. We want to know if it has been specifically identified within a plan. Again, the effect, positive or negative, it may have on businesses, freight access, traffic flow, job creation, job access, whether it's on an evacuation route or not, that would give it, extra points. And then finally, environmental factors. We look at, whether it be a positive or negative effect on things like air quality, water quality, cultural resources, endangered species, or just overall resiliency of the facility. So when you see those scores, this is basically the score sheet that we look at every project. What you see here is kind of the master list of projects we're considering funding. On the left-hand column, you can see where it's currently placed in the current 26 through 30 tip program. There's a number of projects that aren't listed. They just have not been assigned a year yet, typically because they haven't advanced in design stage quite a bit yet. That's typically why. Some information, background information on the project, and then it's correlating transportation evaluation score. So you can kind of look at these scores at these projects here and reference that score sheet. Also on this handout, we've updated the design status of each of these projects and the cost estimate. So this is an updated version of that list. It's always an open invitation to reach out to us and kind of, peer into how we looked at your project. Or if you have questions on our process, sometimes it's just a matter of sitting down and kind of explain how we look at things. Always open to do that. As for the task ahead of us, kind of populating this list, we've received our target allotment within the section that we're listing projects. Here's a comparison to last year. In the current 26 through 30 tip on the left column, you can see the budget, the target budget. We're dropping federal fiscal year 26. We're adding federal fiscal year 31. So in the middle column, you can see our new budget, and there's a slight difference, which you can see on the right column. It's a fiscally constrained document, so it's important to realize that we can only assign projects up to this budget. So in 2027, we're looking at a budget of 15.88 million. In 28, we're looking at 16.131 million. In 29, 16.382 million. 30, 16.164 million, and 31, 16.52 million. And these are really just projections. So, this is all federal money coming down to the state and doled out to the regions for these projects. So, basically we take our, and Mass DOT does this for us. They take, what we received last year, apply some sort of an inflation factor. Typically we use 2% to project out 5 years of the document to, for planning purposes. But, we do typically see some slight changes as well. So with that being said, that's some of the new information that we have for you this month. But the real, a thing to consider here is, I mentioned last month, I reviewed what projects we have in place. Since that time, we've gotten the chance to get together with various project proponents, design consultants, Mass DOT, and municipalities to update design status and cost of these projects. And we've seen significant changes. So this has been a theme the last few years. Design has moved back. Costs have increased significantly, and this year is more so than even the last few years. Overall, these projects, not every single one of them has seen a cost increase, but combined, the cost increases that we're seeing is about 50%, all in all of these projects. So basically, we have a total budget of $81 million over the next 5 years, and we already have $90 million of projects scheduled. So it's a fiscally constrained document, so changes are going to have to be made. We're 95% done with the design updates and cost updates. Really, over the next few weeks, we'll be busy, talking about various scenarios that are possible with DOT and project proponents. Uh, you know, um, We'd like to suggest some cost sharing, possibly with the statewide section, to make this more palatable. Also, there's a possibility of advanced constructing a number of these projects over multiple construction seasons, which kind of makes this game of Tetris a little bit easier. Typically, what we'd be looking at when doing this exercise is bringing projects in from what we call the appendix. You can see at the bottom of this list these projects that have not yet been assigned a year up until the new year, 2031 in this case. However, we already have more projects than we can afford right now. So, tough decisions are going to have to be made. That is the status update really right now. In March, after we have some additional discussions with people involved, we'll have some scenarios for this group to consider. We'll be looking for some feedback on those scenarios. The really significant change has been the cost increases. And I'll give you one project for an example. In 2027, we see Ashburnham Road Rehab on Route 101. The cost that we scheduled this at last year's development process is $8.556 million. The updated cost is $17.521 million. So that doubled in price, which again has been a theme. A few of those projects have seen significant cost increases, and there's a number of reasons for that. Typically the first cost estimate that we see is pre-design phase, so it's kind of just a shot in the dark, a guess. When the consultants go in and look at what needs to be, perhaps the scope of the project may change. Perhaps you'll become aware of additional regulations you didn't have to navigate previously. And then materials costs change, other things change. This is no different than every year of the last 2 or 3 years, there's been at least one or two projects that have significantly increased in cost. Some case doubled, in some case even more than that. So again, where this leaves us right now, currently, if we were to make no changes, which would not be possible because it needs to be fiscally constrained, in 2027, the project schedule would put us over budget by $9.7 million. In 28, we're over budget by 15.82 million. In 29, we're over budget by 4.8 million. In 30, we're under. In 31, we haven't yet assigned years projects yet. So, significant changes will happen this year. We already have some meetings on the books. We're scheduling some more with various people involved in these projects to try to get an indication of where we stand, what's possible. We'd like to have some indication of the possibilities of carrying some of the costs on different sections of the tip, so as not to back up these projects significantly if we can help it. And also, as I mentioned, possibly constructing these over multiple construction seasons. Stretch out, to separate the cost over multiple years is helpful. Serious changes will have to be considered at next month's meeting. So we'll have additional information at that point. Staff will come up with some scenarios that hopefully will work, and we'll be getting your feedback on that as well. So with that being said, I can answer any questions, or if you'd like to reach out to me at any time, we're always willing to try to kind of discuss what's going on, either with the project in your town or just the process in general. What the outlook is and kind of what stage we're at in development. But for now, this is kind of where we stand. We still have some work ahead before we really discuss what's possible for funding scenarios.
Any questions from anybody? If not, we'll move on to section 5. Fiscal year 2027 Unified Planning Work Program.
We have this on the schedule because this is another document we're working on. This is our work program, staff's work program for next federal fiscal year. We're in the process of developing this right now. Sherry mentioned last month that we were soliciting communities for project proposals, things like intersection, analysis and anything related to transportation we're considering. Number of communities have reached out to us. That solicitation period ended last Friday. So we've been following up with those communities, trying to determine what space in our budget we have to take on some of these projects. By March, I think we'll have a better understanding of that. We're still waiting for some additional numbers from Federal Transit Administration on, what the budget will be. We've gotten some numbers from Federal Highway and Mass DOT, but we're still in the process of building that. So we'll have some additional conversations on sort of what staff's work program, aside from these federal requirements of the TIP and the UPWP, next year will be. One major theme next year will be our long range plan, the regional transportation plan. So that's going to take up a large bulk of our work next year. So that's kind of the update for this month.
Thank you. Item number 6, status reports. Regional Transit Authority, the MART, I believe that is. I think we have a rep from the MART.
Yes. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you, Michael.
Okay. Yeah. So, Mart has few updates. We have a new CEO, which was appointed in January. And with regards to our routes systems, we are making some changes on our FSU routes. Currently, we have 2 buses on that route, and we are trying to improve. We are improving the headway from about 20 minutes to about every 10 minutes on that route, and the maximum wait time on that route will be 20 minutes per day. And so the other bus will be running between 6 to 7 p.m. and that route it runs up to 12 a.m. So that is the update I have from Mart.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The next one is a status report from the MRPC. Brian, or is that somebody else?
Yeah, I can take that. Here's an updated grant opportunity list. I've been providing this over the last few months. This was updated February 2nd. Again, our planning development department puts this list together. A lot of relevant grants available to our municipalities. And if there's any questions on this, you can reach out to Bernie Cahill of our staff. He's been putting this together, and the planning development department is, generally knowledgeable about these grants. And if there's assistance needed by communities, there's opportunities for that as well. So that's an updated list. And then I have a number of kind of just handouts, FYIs, to share on behalf of this one from Mass DOT speed feedback sign. I included this in the handouts last week. This program is available to municipalities. There was some webinars last month attended by some of our communities. I think there were 5 communities that attended. Those webinars are over, but the program persists. So there's some links to that program here if you're interested. Here's some information on the Chapter 90 funding bill summary. So this came out a few weeks ago. Chapter 90, very relevant to our municipalities. There'll be an increase this year from where it currently is at 200 million. Now it'll be 300 million. I know that's still not enough. This program hasn't kept up with inflation, but some additional information is within this handout. The the state fiscal year 26 fair share supplemental budget summary. This just came out last week as well. The fair share amendment, also known as the millionaire's tax. The proceeds from that tax are split between education and transportation. So here's a breakdown of where those dollars are going and what the proceeds were last year. So again, informational. On behalf of the Division of Ecological Restoration, culvert and small bridge replacement opportunities, there's an application for this program, March 20th. All these links are available in the handout. Again, from DER, a training available from them, stream simulation design. So I know a lot of communities have a lot of culverts that they have issues with. It's a topic of consideration. And again, stream smart training. There's some links in this and some training on March 25th. So that's what I have for that.
That's interesting. Item number 7, administrative matters. Next meeting, March 11th, Brian?
March 11th. Yep. March
Good.
11th. And we'll have some in-depth conversations on those TIP projects as well as the UPWPR work program. So, and as always, if there's something that you think that would be helpful for us to include in these meetings, either as a handout or an agenda item, reach out to me and I can see, if I can put you on. So March 11th at 2:30, and we'll meet then.
Very good. Does anyone have any questions about anything or want to make a statement? I see or hear none. So the next thing is the adjournment of the meeting. You have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting. I'll make the motion to adjourn. How's that?
I second.
Thank you, Michael. Second. If there are no objections, the meeting is adjourned.
Thanks again, everyone.
Thank you.